We talk a lot about grades and test scores, but what if the real key to doing well in school is something, well, deeper? Today, we're diving into learner well being, what it actually means for a student to not just perform well, but to be well. So let's get right into it.
So let's just start with that big question. When we use a word like well to describe a student, what are we really talking about? Is it just, being happy all the time, or is there something more to it?
Okay, so at its very core, learner well being is this psychological state that's all about balance. It comes down to two really important things: how students feel, their emotional side, and how they function, their ability to engage with purpose. It's not one or the other. For real well being, you've got to have both. And this idea of feeling and functioning, it's not new. It actually creates these two main pillars of well being, and the concept goes all the way back to ancient Greek philosophy. So let's break down what these two pillars really are. All right, so here are our two pillars. On one side, you have hedonic well being. This is all about how you feel. Think happiness, satisfaction with life. But on the other side, you've got eudaimonic well being, which is all about how you function, your sense of meaning, your personal growth. They're like two sides of the very same coin, and you absolutely need both for the full picture. So let's zoom in on that hedonic side for a second, the feelings part. It's so much more than just being in a good mood. It's really a mix of three things: having a general sense of satisfaction with your life, actually experiencing positive feelings pretty regularly, and, this part's key, not being totally overwhelmed by negative feelings. And now for that other side of the coin, eudaimonic well-being, or how we function. A fantastic word for this is flourishing. See, this isn't about just passively being happy, it's about being actively engaged in your life. It means you're committed to your own growth, you're involved in things that feel meaningful, and you feel truly connected to other people. Okay, so understanding what well-being is obviously super important, but it's just as crucial to clear up a few common myths about what it is not. All right, here's a really big one. A lot of us think that if you don't have a diagnosed mental illness, then you must have good well-being. But that's just not true. It's a myth. The reality is, well-being and mental health are not the same thing. It's better to think of them as two different, though related, scales. So it is completely possible for a student who has a diagnosed mental illness to have really high well-being. And, just the same, a student with no diagnosis at all could be seriously struggling and have very low well-being. And that brings us to the other major myth, that well-being is basically just another word for happiness. If you're smiling, you're well, right? Well, not quite. The truth is, happiness is just one little piece of that huge puzzle. Specifically, it's part of that hedonic, or feeling-based, pillar we just talked about. Real, true well-being is the whole package. It's about feeling good and functioning well. So if we need both of these things, feeling good and functioning well, how do we get there? What are the secret ingredients we need to make it happen? Well, there's a powerful psychological framework called self-determination theory that gives us a really clear answer. And what's so great about this theory is that it's actually pretty simple. It says that every single one of us, no matter who we are, has three core psychological needs. When these three needs are being met, we tend to thrive. When they're not, our well-being really takes a hit. So what are they? And here they are. First up, competence. That's that feeling of, I can do this, that sense of mastering a challenge. Second, we have autonomy. This is the feeling that you have a choice, that you're in the driver's seat of your own life. And finally, relatedness, that basic human need to feel connected, to feel like you belong. When a learning environment can satisfy these three needs, well-being just skyrockets. Okay, this is all fascinating theory, but let's pull it out of the textbook and into the real world. Why does any of this actually matter inside a classroom? Because the benefits are huge. And this is the part you really want to remember. The research is crystal clear. High learner well-being isn't just some nice-to-have extra. It's directly linked to higher academic achievement. Put simply, students who feel well and function well learn better. Full stop. It also helps them build amazing things like resilience and a growth mindset. And the best part? This stuff is actionable. Educators can actually build this into their classrooms. To support autonomy, you can offer choices and let students take the lead on activities. To build competence, you can design challenges that are right in that sweet spot, not too easy, not too hard.
And to foster relatedness, you can create opportunities for collaborative work that build those all-important social bonds.
And maybe this is the most hopeful and powerful message of all. A student's well-being isn't fixed. It's not set in stone. It is malleable, which means it can be shaped and changed for the better by what we do in our schools.
So let's just end on this thought. We've seen that well-being isn't a distraction from learning. It's the very fuel that makes learning possible. So the real question for all of us, for educators, for parents, for students, is how do we stop treating well-being as an afterthought and start building our entire approach to education on a foundation of well-being? That's the challenge and the opportunity right in front of us. Thanks for joining this explainer.